Hi, I'm Dr. Vivian Shnaidman, and I am the Chief Medical Correspondent for Breezin with Bierman. I am so delighted today because my former patient, Rohan Sharma, is here with me to talk about his new job with NAMI, the National Association for the Mentally Ill. And I'm really proud because Rohan's doing so well that he has a job. And I'm also really proud because he's become so successful. He has been through such a roller coaster in his young life, and I'm just going to let him tell you about it. So Rohan, can you tell us some of the things that brought you here today?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, Dr. Shnaidman.
My pleasure.
So currently I'm a speaker for NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness, and more specifically the ETS Ending the Silence program. And what we do is we basically go to middle schools and high schools and we try to talk to the kids about mental health, why it's important to get help, and basically end the stigma around mental illness. Now, how I got the job was, like you said, it's a very interesting story. I was in medical school briefly over at Drexel, and then in the fall of 2011, I was put on antidepressants. My bipolar type 1 was undiagnosed at the time, and the antidepressants, while they got rid of the depression, they spun me to an even higher manic state. And what ended up happening was I barely slept for like a month straight. Very reckless behavior. I was drinking almost every night. Went out and got a tattoo without thinking about it. Was gambling. A lot of marijuana to sleep. And then after a period of 30 days of barely sleeping, there was 4 days of no sleep whatsoever. Went into a completely psychotic episode. First, I opened my own neck up to try and dissect it. Then I went out and got a firearm and attempted to rob my drug dealer. And ended up getting locked up, having to do about 2 weeks first because the judge put a detainer on my situation. Once I was bailed out, I ended up getting expelled from medical school for what happened. It was a very, very tough period in my life. Gained a lot of weight. I was very depressed. I was very anxious about what was going to happen with the case. Finally, a year and a half, my lawyer was fighting the case, and he said, basically, you have an option here. You can take this deal for 23 months in county jail, 11 and a half to 23 months, where I would have the max, or you can take it to trial, and if you lose there, you would face up to 10 years in prison.
So I want to interrupt you just for a second because, you know, Rohan was my patient, but the family came to me because I'm a forensic psychiatrist. And I've spoken here before about the book that I wrote that came out last year, which is Forensic Psychiatry, A Lawyer's Guide. And today is not my chance to promote my book. But every lawyer and judge should know that for any case involving a mentally ill defendant, there is a way to utilize the legal system, the criminal justice system, to help that defendant be considered differently from a defendant who understands the full consequence of his or her actions. And in this case, that never happened. And Rohan's attorney didn't know any of this, didn't understand it. Even though when he was picked up by the police, everybody understood that he was having a psychotic episode,
Right.
Even the guy that he tried to rob.
Yeah.
What happened right after the police came? Where did you go?
I was at Temple Hospital.
Psychiatric
briefly.
hospital.
Well, I was actually to get my neck stitched up as well. But they knew. Right.
They knew. They treated him psychiatrically, and then when he was stabilized, they took him to jail.
Right.
And they knew, everybody knew, and yet the legal system chose to ignore the fact that this whole thing happened, and so did his medical school, chose to ignore the fact that this young man who was, you know, a very intelligent person and a medical student was in the throes of a mental illness. So now, go on.
Yeah, well, you just touched on it too. Another point I wanted to bring up, that I was expelled from medical school, and these are, you know, professional. These are all doctors, and I felt they didn't take into consideration an underlying health issue. I felt that was really unfair. I just want to put that out for anybody else who has the situation to have more compassion for people who are mentally ill, because, like you said, you're not thinking in a psychotic episode.
And it's actually not just compassion. There's actually a law. It's called the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Right.
That prohibits people that have a medical problem from being discriminated against. So it's actually illegal. But for some reason, psychiatric disorders are not considered medical problems, even though, and this is what I teach my medical students, when I go to teach the medical students, I say this. I say, and I'm going to pretend. Let's pretend you're still
Sure,
medical
yeah.
school. Can you live without a hand?
Yes.
Can you live without a foot?
Yes.
Can you live without a kidney?
Sure, yeah.
Can you even live without a heart?
Yes, if you had a transplant.
A transplant
yeah.
or even an artificial heart. Can you live without a brain?
No, you cannot.
So what's the most important organ in your body?
I would say the brain.
But that's
I'm
the
not in
only,
medical school, but that's
right,
what I would
but
say.
you would say that, you know what, if you stop
Right.
100 people on the street, they would probably answer the same way.
Yeah.
But it's the only thing that the whole world seems to think, your brain, who cares?
Right.
Not important.
And this is what we teach the students, because you can't see it doesn't make it any less real. There's definitely brain chemistry going on there. Otherwise, medication would be ineffective. Right.
Right. So go ahead. I don't want to hijack. This
No,
is
it's
so
okay.
interesting.
Not at
but
all.
I just wanted to point that out because I think it's so important.
Yeah. So where I was at was the court had offered me 3 to 5 years at first, which I had turned down because again, a medical student doing time upstate is not, an ideal situation. So after being entered into mental health court, that's when he got the deal for 11.5 to 23. And again, he told me you have two options. You could take this to trial. They'll give you 5 to 10 maybe, or like you could do the max 10
So
years.
what'd you end up doing? Because I want to get on to
Yeah,
what you
sure.
did
Yeah,
for NAMI.
So I ended up taking the deal for 23 months and then followed by 10 years probation. I got out in April of 2015. It was the hardest, obviously a very difficult period in my life, but I'm just so glad I made it. Ended up getting this amazing job with NAMI, which I love to do. I love going to schools and spreading my story. And it's just a reason I'm so passionate is just this is a program I wish I had when I was young, and maybe we wouldn't have to go down this road in the first place. But definitely ended in a very positive note. So,
what's your favorite part about speaking to the kids?
It's actually funny you say that. I just I ran into a parent in a recent workshop, a parent of one of the students we spoke with, and she comes up to her mom and says, "Mom, I think I have depression," and it just means that. It just shows that this program can work. People are getting results from it, and it's just an amazing program.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So we still do have a few more minutes. I know that you brought this flyer about an upcoming Stride for Mental Health Awareness. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Right, yeah. We have a charity walk coming up for NAMI. The website is namibuckstride.org, and if you guys would like to walk or just sponsor one of us, definitely log on to the website. You can register yourself or sponsor one of us. I'm on team Young Nuts is what we're called. So if you would like to be a part of that, you can definitely donate to that. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. They have food games. I'm also this will all be on my YouTube channel as well. It's Rex Mundi, RX space MUNDI, where I have another short video Dr. Shnaidman was a part of as well that goes a little bit more in depth into my story. And I also have some freestyle videos up there because I rap. So if you like to check that out, if you're into hip hop, definitely check that out as well. So yeah, that's basically about it. And any further questions? Or?
Yeah, I'm curious what you think about. I mean, I kind of know, but if we can find something positive to say to young people who need to be on medication.
Yeah, actually, I it's tough for me to even say because I argue with my current psychiatrist a lot about medication, and I feel personally I don't need it, and I can't be promoting that to kids because there are cases where you definitely need medication. I felt like I don't, but again, I can't be my own doctor, so
Right.
I am on medication now currently, yes. She prescribed Lamictal, which is a mood stabilizer, and I'm also on Prolixin, which is a neuroleptic, I believe.
An injectable. You're in an injectable.
Injectable,
medication,
right. Which again, I try and fight it, but I'm on probation, so legally I do have to take my medication. But not all of them are bad. I guess that's the message I would leave to the kids. Not all of them are bad, and if you gotta take it, there's no shame in that either. So get the help you need.
I think that's really would that be the take-home message, that there's no shame in that?
It's definitely a big message, right? Is that there's no shame in having to take medication. There's no shame in having to get help either. I was recently in the hospital as a 302, and there's no shame in that either.
Right.
Get the help.
So
you
we're
need.
in New Jersey, but a 302 is a civil commitment where you're put into the hospital against your will because you might be a danger to yourself or others. Rohan lives in Pennsylvania, but I think that is really important. I so appreciate you being here to share this with us.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
It was great. Thank you so much. Rohan Sharma, former psychiatric patient and current spokesman for NAMI, National Association for the Mentally Ill.
And rapper.
And rapper. An all-around great person.
Had to throw that in. Thanks, Dr. Shnaidman.
Thank you.